Stop trying to convince them. They're never going to see it. And honestly, that's exactly how it's supposed to be. Right now, you're operating at maybe 1% of what you actually are. 1%. And even at that level, people around you are uncomfortable. They can't explain it. They can't put it into words. But something about your presence makes them shift in their seats, makes them question themselves, makes them feel small without you even trying to make them feel that way. And the crazy part? You're barely getting started. You haven't even scratched the surface of what's locked inside you. So imagine what happens when you hit 2%, 5%, 10%. They're not ready for that. They weren't ready for 1%. Here's what nobody tells you about being chosen. It's lonely, not because you can't find people, not because you're antisocial or broken or damaged. It's lonely because you see things others don't see. You feel things others don't feel. You operate on a frequency that most people aren't tuned into. And when you try to explain it, when you try to share what you're experiencing, you get blank stares, confusion, sometimes even anger. You probably noticed this your whole life. When you were a kid, you asked questions that made adults uncomfortable. Why do we do things this way? Why do we believe this? Why does everyone just accept this without thinking? And instead of getting real answers, you got shut down. You got told to stop asking so many questions. Stop being so difficult. Stop making people think so hard. As you got older, it didn't get better. It got worse. Because now you weren't just asking questions. Now you were seeing patterns, connections, the invisible threads that link everything together. You could look at a person and know what they were going through without them saying a word. You could walk into a room and feel the energy instantly. You could sense when something was off, when someone was lying, when danger was coming before anyone else noticed. And when you tried to share these insights, people looked at you like you were crazy. They dismissed you, laughed at you, told you that you were reading too much into things, that you were being paranoid, that you needed to relax and stop being so intense. But you weren't being intense. You were just being awake. You were just seeing reality as it actually is instead of the comfortable illusion everyone else lives in. So you learn to hide it. You learn to dim your light. You learn to play small so other people would feel comfortable around you. You learn to laugh at the right times even when nothing was funny. You learn to pretend you didn't see what you saw. You learn to act like you fit, and even though every cell in your body knew you didn't belong there, and it worked for a while, you managed to blend in. You managed to make friends. You managed to build a life that looked normal from the outside. But inside, you were dying. Inside, you were suffocating. Because pretending to be less than you are is one of the most painful things a human being can do. That's where you are right now, standing at a crossroads. One path leads back to the comfortable lie, back to pretending, back to playing small, so others feel big. The other path leads forward into the unknown, into the full expression of what you actually are. And that path is terrifying because you don't know what it costs. You don't know what you'll have to give up. You don't know who you'll lose along the way. But here's what you do know. You can't go back. Not really. Once you've seen behind the curtain, you can't unsee it. Once you've tasted what it feels like to operate as your true self, even for a moment, you can't forget it. The cage might have felt safe once, but now it just feels like a cage. Let me tell you what happens when a chosen one starts to wake up, when they stop playing small and start operating even at 2 or 3% of their actual capacity. First, people get confused. The same people who knew you as the quiet one, the helpful one, the one who always went along with the group, suddenly don't recognize you. You start saying no to things that don't serve you. You start speaking up when something doesn't feel right. You start making choices based on your own inner guidance, instead of what everyone else thinks you should do. And this confuses people because they had you figured out. They had you in a box. They knew how you were going to react. They knew what they could expect from you. And now the box is breaking open, and they don't know what to do with that. Some of them will try to put you back in the box. They'll remind you of who you used to be. They'll bring up old stories, old mistakes, old versions of yourself that don't exist anymore. They'll say things like, "You've changed," in a tone that makes it clear they don't mean it as a compliment. They'll try to guilt you back into being small, back into being manageable. back into being someone they can understand and control. Other people will get angry, not because you did something to them, but because your growth forces them to look at their own lack of growth. Your courage forces them to confront their own cowardice. Your authenticity forces them to see their own masks. And that's uncomfortable. That's painful. So instead of looking inward, they attack outward. They attack you. They call you arrogant, selfish, different, weird. They try to make you feel bad for stepping into your power. And then there's the third group, the ones who just disappear, the friends who stop calling, the family members who create distance, the partners who suddenly realize they're not compatible with this new version of you. These are often the most painful losses because there's no big fight, no dramatic ending, just a slow fade, a quiet exit, and you're left wondering if you did something wrong, if you pushed them away, if maybe you should have stayed small just to keep them around. But here's the truth they don't tell you. Those people were never supposed to go where you're going. They were in your life for a season, not a lifetime. They were there to teach you something or to learn something from you. And now that chapter is complete. The story is moving forward. And some characters don't make it to the next chapter. That's not a failure. That's not a mistake. That's just how it works. Think about a snake shedding its skin. The old skin served a purpose. It protected the snake while it was growing. But eventually, the snake gets too big for that skin. And if the snake tried to keep the old skin, tried to hold on to it because it felt safe and familiar, the snake would die. The only way for the snake to keep growing is to shed what no longer fits. You're shedding right now. You're outgrowing people, places, beliefs, habits, identities. And it hurts. Shedding always hurts. But the alternative is worse. The alternative is staying stuck in a version of yourself that stopped fitting years ago. Let me tell you something else that happens when you start operating at a higher percentage of your power. Opportunities start showing up, not the opportunities you were chasing, not the things you thought you wanted, but the things that are actually aligned with who you really are. Maybe it's a job offer that seems to come out of nowhere. Maybe it's a person who walks into your life at exactly the right moment. Maybe it's an idea that downloads into your mind in the middle of the night and won't leave you alone until you act on it. These aren't coincidences. These are confirmations. The universe is responding to your new frequency. You're broadcasting a different signal now, and you're attracting different results. But here's the tricky part. These opportunities often don't make sense to the people around you. They don't fit into the logical plan. They don't match the safe path. So when you try to explain them, people push back. They tell you you're being reckless, impulsive, unrealistic. They give you all the reasons why it won't work, all the ways it could go wrong, all the safer options you should consider instead. And if you listen to them, if you let their fear become your fear, you'll miss it. You'll miss the door that was opening specifically for you. You'll miss the opportunity that was designed for this version of you. And you'll end up back in a comfortable cage, wondering why nothing ever changes. This is one of the hardest parts of the journey. Learning to trust yourself more than you trust the opinions of others. Learning to follow your inner, knowing even when it doesn't make sense to anyone else. Learn to walk through doors that everyone else says are dangerous or stupid or impossible. Because here's what you're starting to realize. The people giving you advice aren't living the life you want to live. They're not operating at the level you're being called to. They're not seeing what you're seeing. So their advice, no matter how well-intentioned, is based on a completely different reality than the one you're stepping into. It's like taking driving directions from someone who's never left their hometown. They can tell you about every street in their small town. They know every shortcut, every pothole, every stop sign. But if you're trying to drive across the country, their expertise doesn't help you. In fact, it holds you back because they keep telling you to stay on the familiar roads. Stay where it's safe. Don't venture too far from what you know. But you're not trying to stay in the small town anymore. You're trying to explore the whole country, the whole world. And that requires a different kind of map, a different kind of guidance, the kind that comes from within. Now, let me tell you about the isolation, because that's real. That's something every chosen one has to walk through. There's a phase where you're not fully in the old world anymore, But you're not fully in the new world yet either. You're in between. You're in the void. And it feels like you're floating in space with no ground beneath your feet. The old friends don't get you anymore. The old places don't feel like home. The old activities that used to bring you joy now feel empty and meaningless. But the new friends haven't shown up yet. The new home has revealed itself. The new purpose is still taking shape. And during this time, you question everything. You question if you made the right choice. You question if you're going crazy. You question if maybe everyone else was right, and you should have just stayed where you were. This is the dark night of the soul. This is the initiation. This is where most people turn back, because the discomfort of the unknown becomes too much. The loneliness becomes too heavy. The doubt becomes too loud. But if you can push through this phase, if you can trust the process even when you can't see the outcome, something amazing happens. You start to meet your people. Not the people who knew the old you. Not the people who are trying to fix you, or change you, or put you back in a box. But the people who recognize you. The people who see you at 1% and aren't intimidated. The people who actually get excited about what you're becoming. These connections feel different. They're deeper, more real, more authentic. You don't have to explain yourself. You don't have to justify your choices. You don't have to tone yourself down. You can just be, and they can just be, and there's this mutual understanding that you're both on a similar path, even if the details look different. When you find these people, hold on to them, not in a needy way, not in a desperate way, but in a way that honors the rarity of that kind of connection. Because true soul family is hard to find. Most people will go their whole lives without experiencing it. But when you're living as your authentic self, when you're operating from your true frequency, these connections become inevitable. Let me tell you about the signs that you're actually chosen. That this isn't just a story you're telling yourself. That there's something genuinely different about your path. First sign, you've always felt out of place. Even in your own family, even with your closest friends. There's always been this sense that you're different somehow. Not better, not worse, just different. Like you're playing a game where everyone else knows the rules except you. Second sign, you're sensitive to energy. You can walk into a room and immediately know if something's wrong. You can talk to someone and sense what they're really feeling beneath their words. You pick up on things that other people completely miss. And it's not because you're trying. It's just how you're wired. Third sign, you've been through more pain than most people your age. More loss, more betrayal, more hardship. And at first you thought you were cursed. You thought you were being punished. But now you're starting to realize that the pain was preparation. It was breaking you open, burning away everything that wasn't truly you, making space for something bigger to come through. Fourth sign, you have dreams that feel real, visions, moments of knowing things you shouldn't be able to know. You might dream about something, and then it happens. You might think about someone, and then they call. You might have a gut feeling about a situation, and it turns out to be exactly right. This isn't luck. This is your intuition coming online. Your connection to something bigger than your logical mind. Fifth sign, you can't ignore injustice. When you see someone being treated unfairly, something inside you boils. You can't just look away. You can't just mind your own business. Even when it's not your fight. Even when standing up puts you at risk. There's something in you that has to speak up, has to take action, has to try to make things right. Sixth sign, you're drawn to ancient wisdom, to spirituality, to the big questions about life and death, and meaning and purpose. While other people are content with surface-level living, you need to go deeper. You need to understand. You need to know why we're here and what this is all about. Seventh sign, animals and children trust you. They're drawn to you. They feel safe around you. Because animals and children haven't learned to hide behind masks yet. They can sense energy in its purest form, and they recognize something pure in you. Eighth sign, you heal fast. Not just physically, though sometimes that too, but emotionally, spiritually. You can go through something that would destroy most people, and somehow you come out the other side. Changed, yes. Scarred, maybe, but not broken. Never broken. There's a resilience in you that you can't explain. These signs don't make you special in the sense that you're better than anyone else. They just mean you have a different job to do, a different mission, and that mission requires different tools, different training, different preparation. Think about it like this. If someone is going to be a doctor, they need to learn about the human body. They need to study diseases. They need to practice surgeries. The training is hard because the job is important. If they mess up, people die. Your training has been hard because your job is important too. You're not here to just live a normal life, make some money, have some kids, and die. You're here to shift things, to break generational curses, to wake people up, to shine light in dark places, to show others what's possible when you stop playing by the old rules. And that kind of work requires that you go through the fire first. You can't lead people somewhere you haven't been. You can't heal others if you haven't healed yourself. You can't teach people to be brave if you've never had to be brave yourself. So every painful experience you've gone through, every time you felt alone, every time you want to give up, that was all part of the preparation. That was all building the strength you're going to need for what comes next. And what comes next is bigger than you think. Because right now you're at 1%. You're just beginning to understand what you're capable of. You're just starting to test your wings. You're just beginning to speak your truth out loud. But there's 99% more. 99% of power, wisdom, capability, impact that you haven't tapped into yet. And the journey from 1% to even 5% is going to blow your mind. It's going to blow everyone's mind. Here's the moment where everything changes. The moment where you stop asking for permission and start taking ownership. The moment where you stop waiting to be chosen and realize you already are chosen. The moment where you stop trying to prove yourself to people who will never understand and start walking in the authority that's already yours. This moment doesn't usually come with fireworks. It doesn't come with a dramatic revelation or a voice from the sky. It comes quietly, in a moment of stillness, in a moment where you're so tired of pretending that you just can't do it anymore, in a moment where the pain of staying the same finally becomes greater than the fear of change. For some people, this moment comes after a major loss, a death, a divorce, a health crisis, something that strips away all the superficial stuff and forces you to confront what's real. For other people, it comes in a moment of unexpected joy, a sunrise, a conversation, a song, something that reminds you how beautiful life can be when you stop fighting it and start flowing with it. For you, maybe it's happening right now, as you hear these words, as something inside you recognizes a truth in them, as you feel that familiar stirring in your chest that says, yes, this is it, this is what I've been waiting to hear. The moment you decide to stop hiding, to stop apologizing for who you are, to stop making yourself small so others feel big, that's the moment everything changes. Because the universe has been waiting for you to make this choice. The universe has been holding opportunities, connections, resources, miracles in reserve, waiting for you to step up and claim them. And the second you do, the second you say, I'm ready, I'm done playing small, I'm done letting fear run my life, the floodgates open. But you have to understand something. This isn't a one-time choice. This is a choice you have to make over and over again, every single day, sometimes multiple times a day. You're going to have days where you feel unstoppable, where you're operating at 3%, 5%, and you can feel the power moving through you. You're going to have days where everything clicks and you finally understand why you had to go through what you went through. But you're also going to have days where you want to quit, where the old patterns come back, where the doubt creeps in, where you look around at everyone else living their normal lives, and you think maybe that would be easier. Maybe I should just go back to how things were. In those moments, you have to choose again. You have to remember why you started this journey. You have to reconnect with that deep knowing inside you that says there's more, there's something bigger, there's a reason I'm here. And slowly, over time, the days where you feel aligned start to outnumber the days where you feel lost. The moments of clarity start to last longer. The periods of doubt start to get shorter. You start to build momentum. You start to see proof that this is real, that you're not making it up, that there really is something different about you. The people around you start to notice too. Not everyone, Not the ones who are determined to see you as who you used to be, but the ones who are paying attention, the ones who are open. They see the change. They see the light getting brighter, and they either move toward it or away from it. And this is where you learn one of the hardest lessons. You can't save everyone. You can't wake up everyone. You can't drag people into their own evolution. All you can do is be the example. Be the proof that another way is possible. Be the light in the darkness and trust that the people who are ready will find their way to you. Some people you love are going to choose to stay asleep. They're going to choose comfort over growth. They're going to choose the known over the unknown. And you have to let them. You have to release them with love and trust that they're on their own path, their own timeline. This doesn't mean you stop caring. It doesn't mean you build walls around your heart. It just means you stop sacrificing your own evolution to make others comfortable with their lack of evolution. You start to understand that the most loving thing you can do is keep growing, keep rising, keep stepping into more of who you really are, because your growth gives others permission to grow. Your courage gives others permission to be courageous. Your authenticity gives others permission to be authentic. You become the permission slip, the living example, the proof that it's possible to break free from a matrix and build a life that actually feels real. And as you operate at higher and higher percentages of your true self, something interesting happens. The things that used to bother you stop bothering you. The people who used to trigger you stop having that power. The situations that used to stress you out become easy to navigate. It's not that you become cold or emotionless. It's that you develop this unshakable center, this core of peace that nothing external can disturb. You stop needing external validation because you have internal validation. You stop needing others to see your worth because you see your own worth. And from this place of centeredness, you become dangerous. Not dangerous in a harmful way, but dangerous to the systems and structures that rely on people staying small. Dangerous to the lies that keep people trapped. Dangerous to the illusions that keep people asleep. Because you can't be controlled anymore. You can't be manipulated. You can't be bought. You can't be intimidated. You remembered who you are. And once you remember, there's no going back. This is what it means to operate at 10%, 20%, 50%. As you move through these levels, you start to access abilities you didn't know you had. You start to manifest things faster. You start to heal deeper. You start to see further. You start to impact wider. The chosen one operating at 1% is impressive to those who are still asleep. But the chosen one operating at 50% is a force of nature. They walk into rooms and the energy shifts. They speak and people's lives change. They move and reality rearranges itself to accommodate them. This isn't ego. This isn't delusion. This is what happens when a human being finally steps into their full power. When they stop letting fear and doubt and the opinions of others dictate their choices. When they start operating from their true nature instead of their conditioned nature. So where does this leave you? Right here, right now, at this exact moment, with a choice to make. You can close this video and go back to your life, pretending you didn't hear what you just heard. Pretending you don't know what you know. Pretending that staying small is a viable option. It's not. But you can pretend for a little while longer. Or you can take what you heard here and let it light a fire inside you. You can decide that today is the day you stop apologizing for your existence. Today is the day you stop hiding your gifts. Today is the day you start operating as who you actually are instead of who you thought you were supposed to be. Nobody is coming to give you permission. Nobody is coming to tell you you're ready. Nobody is coming to validate your path. That's not how this works. You have to choose yourself. You have to give yourself permission. You have to validate your own knowing. And then you have to walk forward even when it's scary, even when it's lonely, even when everyone around you thinks you're making a mistake. Because they didn't realize what you are. They still don't realize. And honestly, most of them never will. And that's okay. You don't need them to understand. You don't need them to approve. You don't need them to cheer you on. All you need is to keep choosing yourself. Keep choosing growth. Keep choosing authenticity. Keep choosing the harder right over the easier wrong. And as you do, as you move from 1% to 2% to 5% to 10%, You're going to look back at this moment and smile. You're going to remember the person you were when you first heard these words. The person who was scared and confused and didn't know if they had what it takes. And you're going to see how far you've come. You're going to see all the obstacles you overcame, all the fears you faced, all the old versions of yourself you shed, all the mountains you climbed. And you're going to realize something profound. You were never broken. You were never too much or not enough. You were never weird or wrong or damaged. You were always exactly what you were supposed to be, a chosen one, operating at 1%, getting ready to show the world what happens when you stop playing small and start playing at the level you were designed for. They didn't realize what you are, but you're about to show them, not by telling them, not by convincing them, not by proving anything to anyone, but simply by being yourself, fully, completely, unapologetically. And that's going to be enough, more than enough. It's going to change everything. If this resonated with you, subscribe because there's more coming.